Good morning and welcome to today's live show. We noticed that yesterday, if you caught that video last night, we were talking a lot about how these 2 hours have confirmed up, yet we still do have that rising dollar. So something to pay attention to throughout our day today is going to be the dollar, seeing if people get over leveraged to either direction with that PCC, and overall paying attention to things like volatility and things like the actual market turning up, right? I think we got to keep an eye on NVIDIA, seeing that 2 hour cross up. The most likely thing to see from there is some positivity. So if you are a part of the Patreon and we're seeing positivity, then I'd be paying attention to some upside weekly expected moves. We have a lot that could change come tomorrow. A lot. All right, because we not only have a debate tonight, we also have GameStop earnings. And then after that, in the morning, we get CPI. So there's a lot going on, and I think that this is going to be the most important time. Make sure, okay, I want to, maybe I'll wait till more people get in here to say this part, because I think this is important going into tomorrow. So I'll wait one moment. Palantir really booming up outside of its weekly expected move. Gold seeing a nice move up so far, and AMC and GME are both positive as of right now. We'll see if that changes with some divergences forming. We'll pay attention. For now, AMC curling up on the daily scale is a good thing. All right, now that a few people have leaked in here, here is what we need to say about, about tomorrow. Be very aware of what's going on, right? Don't really sleep on anything as far as it goes for the next 24 hours. This could be a big moment. This is pretty much a moment where it's like, are we going to V-shape with no basing out signals? Are we going to create basing out signals? Or are we going to crash down or something like that? So these are all things that we need to pay attention to. As of right now, the SPY, you can see that daily scale is down by that center line. So if it wanted to, it could still go give that trap that we were talking about last week. The trap of, if we're going to make it, we talked about it early last week, if we were going to maybe pop up like this and then drop off, that would be a big signal. But for now, what if we actually see some kind of move like this and then see that towards the end of the month? So this is kind of what I want to be aware of as far as bullishness comes. I do still believe we're going to run into some problems, but as we go into the Fed pivoting, people can get very excited about that. And then watch out, because this could be the moment, right? The Fed pivoting is something that will cause a lot of people, a lot of retail to believe that we are going to see some kind of big bullish market for 10 years or something like that. But the truth is, pretty much every time in history, anytime we've actually seen that happen and the Fed had to cut rates, well, it's been a bad thing. Okay, so we're paying attention to the right things. We're looking for this, and the only other reason we're talking about this being some kind of trap, even as of right now, is because that dollar is still scaling up, and it's scaling up a little bit quickly. Sorry, that's a 3-day. I want to go into a weekly and just show that hasn't curled up yet, but once that does, I think we know it's a pretty damn big signal. All right, let's go back into the SPY real quick. Look at this on like a 30-minute chart. We still have to be aware early on in the day of 30 minutes crossing down. Key thing to understand about weekly ranges is the gaps, okay? Gaps are very cool around weekly ranges, because you'll see a lot of the time you'll gap above that range, right? We came out of the monthly, now we're back within it. We can use that as support now to head maybe a little bit higher. What would be the likely thing from this area if we're actually going to keep heading higher? I actually really like this kind of look. We go down, we test that monthly range one more time, and then boom, we head to the upside, and you got yourself a nice move here. So let's see where that would actually get us if this actually formed. Don't want to move that. We go test these all-time highs pretty much. Well, I guess you didn't really make a new all-time high there, but. What time is the CPI? The CPI comes out tomorrow morning before market open, okay? So that's going to be, for me, 7:30 a.m., but the way I like to say it is an hour before the open, you will get CPI. As of right now, it's forecasted to come in at 0.3 for the core inflation rate month over month. And then the core inflation rate year over year is supposed to come in at 3.2, pretty much dead even with the previous inflation rate month over month. Pretty much, if you're cutting rates, by the way, you should be seeing these numbers come down, though. So if they're holding up, I don't think that's the best sign in the world. And then we'll get the other data as well. So next day we get some PPI. Looks like that's coming in pretty much at consensus as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But an hour before the open is when you need to start paying attention. a little bit early. So it just tells you an important thing for tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be such an important day, guys. So this is where I wanted to say, make sure you watch the YouTube video tonight to get these daily expected moves. I know I couldn't come live at the end of the day yesterday, just ran into some stuff and ran out of time and couldn't get back to my computer in time. But for the most part, tomorrow is the big day, right? So going live yesterday, okay, cool. Didn't work out at the end of the day, but today it will, and that's going to be very important because it's going to be important to see what do stocks look like as they approach these higher levels. Because if we just remain like this for a little bit, 30-minute drop off, right? 30-minute drops down, maybe making some kind of divergence point, right? We can go down like this, maybe make that divergence. We'll see. But we really need tomorrow to happen in order to see that price action. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. We kind of need that day to come forward if we're going to see some signals. As of right now, pretty much perfectly testing the first part of the breakdown area for the Qs. Very interesting, testing the very first point, dropping off just a little bit. Volatility, something to pay attention to here, is a 30-minute divergence, by the way. 30-minute divergence down here. I just want to show it. Now it is forming. It really isn't divergence until that fully confirms, right? This is a divergence forming, and then you need that to confirm by turning back up. So we can see something like that. You see it on the RSI. This is just something to be aware of. If that goes away, okay, then you know bigger time frames are still taking over. 2 hours still heading into negative territory. The overall signal that volatility is coming back, 2 hour crosses up. That's my opinion on volatility at the moment. The dollar did not increase rapidly overnight last night. You do have some point of divergence. Well, not really divergence, actually a lower high. We were mainly talking about this could be left head, right shoulder. That kind of, it's still holding as a right shoulder, weirdly enough, but this kind of violates that because I think this was retail getting excited with the selling. That's what I see from that. And then we notice the 2 hour divergence there to drop off. So at this moment, it would make more sense for the 2 hour to back off and then curl back up. But if this is going to keep scaling up with the daily, if the daily is really taking over, if the daily can get past that center line for the RSI, you might see this thing take off a little bit here. The Dow, what is it doing early on in the day today? We're seeing that 30-minute. Pay attention to 30-minute rollovers, okay? They're going to matter. In the Dow, we've been following pretty much to a T. IWM, you can see a very, very simple signal here would be a good thing. Look how simple this would be to go, uh-oh, and then turn right back up. That would be a good signal. But if that does not form, if that does not turn back up, we don't force trades. SoFi crashed. No way. No way, this didn't. You're just curling over on 30-minute. We just talked about IWM and look at SoFi. SoFi, if it comes down to lower levels and just does that, right? That is an opportunity, okay? That tells you that momentum is dying out and you can see a 2 hour roll up. Where's the 2 hour? Well, it's really deep into negative territory. So even if this does bounce, it most likely will maybe test a breakdown area such as 741 up here and then just start to fade, okay? Start to roll back down to create a stronger base or not, right? That's when you'd be thinking, okay, if this turns down, it has potential to crash. Oh no, it crashed. Okay, then you see that. But if it doesn't crash and we see something like this take place, that's when you really want to be paying attention because that can be a massive move. Tesla. Let's go look at Tesla. Tesla seeing some upside here. Remember that 2 hour curls up, some good things can happen. And we talked about the hourly chart is something good for Tesla. If you really see this hourly, you'll be able to see a clear divergence. I think if we head to higher levels, we have to be aware if this is breaking out, retesting, and continues to go, kind of violates the little bit of, I would say, flagging at this point, kind of a bigger flag on a bigger time frame. But if this hourly rolls up, rejects off this area and rolls right back down, you got yourself a little bit of a lower high there, and you can end up going to lower levels if you start to break through some key areas. Oops, I accidentally hit the space bar. So when is GME earnings? GME earnings is after hours, right? They already announced, or there's some speculative announcements happening out there. But right now you have divergences, okay? You do have 30-minute divergence here. You see the loopiness, you see it's drawn out, but this tells you a 2 hour can roll over. What's the problem with the 2 hour? The 2 hour has the divergence on the RSI, not on the MACD at the same time, telling you there could be a 2 hour pullback that leads to some upside. maybe the first reaction isn't the right one. Maybe the first reaction is down, and then we curl back up into positive territory. Down, and then we curl back up. Down like this, and then we curled back up. What happened? Positivity. Palantir profit taking. Most likely you will see profit taking in Palantir. I believe this is a trap, personally. Doesn't have to be, but I think this is a trap. I think you're way outside of that weekly move. I think a lot of retail trades Palantir. Palantir is the #1 stock that was traded by retail traders in the last 2 months. So this right here has a lot of things to say as far as a trap goes. It doesn't have to be. That's just my initial thought. I don't really have, and here's the thing about that. It doesn't mean I have a trade setup. It doesn't mean anything like that. That's just my opinion based on how I feel about it. It's nothing to do with actual technicals. It's just I feel like this is a trap. That's what I'm getting at here. So it doesn't mean there's a trade setup. It doesn't mean I'm saying I'm going to take a trade. If it was very obvious, I would, but it's not very obvious. I just think it's a trap because I know retail is heavy into Palantir. Check on gold real quick for a second here. Gold's still trying to make that 2-hour move up. You see it getting tighter and tighter and tighter. So not only were you in a range, right? But now you saw the bigger rip around moves that are getting smaller, smaller, smaller. And then we have to see which direction that's going to choose. Just keep in mind the dollar, okay? Mark, I mean, you're pretty good at following the dollar, gold, and oil, so you should be able to follow how if the dollar is scaling up, usually gold will experience weakness. So if that 2-hour curls back down, you know, it's just really tight. And you can see that from the MACD, right? See how the MACD was really like spread out? You had some waviness, then it starts to get tighter and tighter. Now we're at that 50-50 point where it's a slight edge to the bulls right now. But if that would just go like that, then you say, okay, all done. That's it for the bulls. Now it's the bears in control. If it would go like this and then curl back up, you'd say, okay, now bulls are back in control. It can flip back and forth. Apple is rejecting. Let's go check on Apple, and then I will take a look over at McDonald's, okay? So Apple, looking at this one, this is what we're paying attention to, the 30-minute divergence not able to play out, management of the trade having to come in if that thing turns red. So that is a key thing to note here, but Apple showing a pretty solid divergence, giving some fake outs as of right now. Unfortunate to see as a trader. Definitely unfortunate to see as a trader, but with longer out expirations, this shouldn't be up too much. That's why I do longer out expirations. What you overall need to see here is that 2-hour curl up for that confirmation as well. So the 30-minute turning down, that would tell me, hey, I might need to manage my trade in 18 minutes if that posts. If we can wick back up, that would be nice. We're staying uninverted, by the way, just so you are aware. But yeah, 30-minute signal still looks okay. It still looks okay. And what you want to do too, also, if you see moves like this, you can actually go into a 5-minute. You can see if that 5 minutes able to turn back up, right? Maybe you want to wait for something a little bigger, like a 15-minute to turn back up. If that's going to cross down, you see that little divergence right here. So if that crosses down, bad. But if it remains like this and then just turns around, it can be a good sign. Mark, are you shorting gold? I thought about shorting gold, I'm not gonna lie. I took out that short position on gold, managed the trade, and then now I'm thinking about it again, to be honest. But I gotta see which way that thing's actually going to pick, you know, Mark. Managing the trade pretty closely, but if gold can turn back down, I most likely would take a position there. We'll see. As far as it goes, we need to look over at Mickey D's. This one, actually, if you didn't know, McDonald's making a big upward move, first of all. But second of all, with McDonald's, this is a company that has always posted pretty good stuff, and they had their first decline in their consumer base. So inflation really beating up McDonald's, and that's happened in my real life. I can attest to that because, you know, every once in a while I'll go get McDonald's, but now I don't even think about it because I can go to a nicer place for the same, if not better price, actually. I like Freddy's, right? I like Freddy's. It's dope. It's steak burgers. Let's go. So for this one, I think this, since it's drawn out, when it is drawn out like this, you can look at 4 hours for that good confirmation of stuff. 4-hour turning up, so most likely positivity is to be had. Watch if that 4-hour rotates back down. If you want to look a little tighter, I would still look at this 2-hour. If that fades and starts to curl down, this all might be a fake out at this point. So that's what I'd be looking at for McDonald's. Abercrombie and Fitch, oh god. Do you think DG is setting up for a big pop? DG, and I think someone brought this up yesterday, Dollar General. I can't say it's setting up for a big pop based on these 2-hour signals, right? If you take the course, what does this look like? It looks like no reversal signals with a dramatic drop with earnings. So what are you overall looking for a trade setup? Well, you're looking for this to get up by that center line and then curl down, or curl down at any time. That can be the next big move down. Okay, we have to talk about downside as that direction has been chosen and you're in a negative trend. But the key thing here is, do we have reversal signals from a 30-minute? No. Do we have reversal signals on like an hourly? No. If that hourly turns down, wouldn't that be bad? So I'd be watching that hourly, and if that turns down, hey, little swing trade to the downside. Maybe it sees a lower price. Let's see where that could head to. Daily screaming lower. Actually, right here would be a great place to hold up. You have a low, you have highs that tested this level multiple times. That would be a great little area. But if you want to drop lower, something like $69 does make sense. So I'd be looking, if that hourly curls down, look for an hourly divergence, 2-hour divergence. That's what I'd be saying for this one. Talk about used to be 40 cents for everything. I mean, just think about one thing I was noticing was like Subway. Subway used to be able to get a $5 footlong. Now they're implementing, their business is doing bad, so they're having to implement a $7 footlong. But if you go there now and I get the sandwich I always got, it's like $12, $13. So you're talking about, I used to get it for $5, now I get it for like 11 or somewhere between 11 and 13. So you talk about an increase of double. Yeah, I don't eat Subway anymore too often. Unless I got a coupon. I only eat with coupons. Yeah, GME flipping to negative. Really got to pay attention to, I would say this hourly signal is one that I like. It's right in between the 2-hour and 30-minute at this point. I like the hourly. Yeah, David, of course. Oil's making new lows. Let's go check on oil. That thing's been dropping down for a while. We can't look at it on those. We got to look at it on a 2-hour. Weirdly enough, you have a bunch of divergence down here. You can see some kind of pop. Let's look for a 4-hour signal. 4-hour is still very, very deep, though. So any kind of pop can have selling above it. Not as good of a signal as we saw right here, right? You saw that clear signal. Now you have one signal that didn't play out. See if that can curl up. It's really close to the center line, so you can see a pretty good pop here. We'll pay attention to it. Bitcoin, what are you doing? Sorry, ADHD kicked in for a sec. 2-hour curls down, pullback most likely looks there. Break down area, tried to buy it back, break down again, cut through one breakdown area, went to the next one. Maybe you get a little handle here. Something to watch is going to be Bitcoin, by the way. Something to seriously watch on the daily scale is going to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin here, if we're going to see some kind of major big run, then that daily scale is going to be able to turn up. And that's when I'd be paying attention to things like Mara, who also has a daily divergence on the MACD, not on the RSI at the same time. But as that comes down, you have to pay attention if that daily curls up. We can head all the way back up towards like $25 if that just crosses up. But we could also, you know, reject from somewhere. But you can kind of see how we would head higher. Maybe do something like this. What do I think of Nail? Nail, I like to look at the housing sector, right? So I still pay attention to the housing sector. The key thing for the housing sector was the 2-hour curling up saying, hey, this is just a big cup and handle. Well, unfortunately, that 2-hour looking a little lackluster, right? Looking a little lackluster. So if that 2-hour rotates down, I'd really be paying attention. You do have some daily signals here that are very, very bad and have confirmed. So lower highs are the most likely scenario when you see that. But if this 4-hour can really turn up, that's when you know, okay, most likely positivity. Is that going to last, right? 4-hour rotates back down. Yeah, Trevor, and I think the way we look at that with things like GME, okay, when you're looking at GME and you see this, it's like, just note, market makers and short sellers see this little E too. They understand that they have to clamp down on GME if they give some good news. What you're hoping for is such good news that it causes institutions to get involved, and they can't they don't have enough funds to actually push the stock down, right? That's what you're hoping for. But just note that as this is something that is very expected, then you most likely do have the short sellers and market makers prepared. Exactly. They say, oh, everyone's buying calls, clamp it down. Let's just put big orders of shorts in there, push it down, and then make some money off the play. Yeah, kind of like you said, take advantage of the volatility there. Yeah, the only thing I'm aware of is an hourly signal. If that curls down, I'm not happy, but anything can happen with earnings, so we'll see going forward. There's already some pretty good stuff, I would say, as far as rumors go going around. Nike, if we go look at Nike real quick, I haven't looked at this in a minute. Curling down, trying to create those hourly divergence points. Let's see if the 30 minutes a little more loopy. Doesn't look very good. 2 hour. You're not really making those divergence points. Daily did flip over. So right now you're in a daily pullback from that zone. Pretty much I'd be watching the daily, see if that can turn up. Or even a 4 hour for the swing, right? 4 hour swing can be a good thing. See if that can cross above these moving averages, cross on this MACD, cross that center line. You might have a good move to the top of the zone towards 90.65. That's what I see for Nike. What do you see in a MOG? All right, let's go pop back over to NVIDIA. We got to see if 30 minutes start to roll over for things like NVIDIA. This could mean, hey, I need to manage the trade. I'm just going to watch the 30 minute though. The 30 minute just went positive, so 15 minute curled over for a moment, but that was positive enough that I was confident to hold it at that point. Sometimes you just see how to manage the trade based on your discretion. I was a little worried for the 30 minute crossing over because of the 5 minute. 5 minute had major divergence there, but I'm not going to react because of a 5 minute. I'm going to react if that 15 minute was still closer to that center line. That's when I would have reacted because it's higher up. I don't really have to react. I can wait and see if this 30 minute pulls down. It might fill that gap and then start to head to the upside. We'll have to see. So, oh yeah, by the way, to clarify on things like nail, it's going to be the same thing. You want to see if a 4 hour can curl up. That would be a good sign. I just like to do my analysis on HGX because you're noticing that's a little different, a little flaggy. Gosh, I'm sorry, John. Which one are you talking about, John? Yeah, sometimes, you know, and that's not even me just being right all the time. It's just being aware that of something that would cause me to manage trades on a PayPal. Let's go look at that real quick. The thing here would be 2 hour signal, right? 2 hour divergence curls down into negative territory, not looking good, right? So this all says bad things. As you open up the daily scale, you're going to see that's curled over. So right now you're in a daily pullback. Where can you head to? I really like this area between 65.83 and 67.24, somewhere in there. So maybe a test of the 50, a test of the 200 could come into play. Pretty much you're just waiting for the swing trade now, right? The swing trade's been pretty good. Right, you'd say curled up in a positive territory. Oh, this is kind of outside of those Bollingers. Maybe I want to wait for a pullback, then that curls back up. You're back in the play, and boom, to the upside. So solid move there. You see a 2 hour divergence, you go, okay, I'm out, right? 2 hour divergence would convince you to get out of a daily play. If you're swing trading, hey, this bar might have got you out. This bar might have got you out at this point, but it still should have been a beneficial trade overall. It was a short, but the gap up, gotcha. Yeah, the gap up yesterday, curling up that 30 minute, and then it curls right back down. Okay, so the 30 minute, you know, curls up. All right, now you see it curling back down, heading to the downside. Maybe it makes a divergence though and ends up going back to the upside, honestly. Still can. I'm just paying attention to volatility, the Dow, seeing if that can roll over. And I think the very important one is going to be NVIDIA if that crosses down. Hasn't crossed down yet. I think you could see The hell, what spike was that? Interesting. I got a spike on one of my things. Dollar shooting up. Let's go look, because the dollar's shooting up by 0.13 at this point, curling up on a 30-minute, but the 2-hour looks like it might still need that pullback, right? But it just rejects and continues to head to the upside. That could be daily momentum taking over. As of right now, SPY's higher, dollar's higher. Now we got to look for that PCC. PCC, as of right now, coming in at 0.9. So we need people to really go to the call side. If people keep trying to short the market, we can squeeze a little bit, right? We're just watching closely. Solid move from Tesla, my goodness. But Apple screaming lower. Meta trying to curl up on a 2-hour at this moment. Maybe Apple's just lagging behind, giving you a little signal in here. Maybe that 2-hour needs to cross up. Pretty much a 2-hour swing trade. MBG. I had a Mercedes when I was younger. Then my sister totaled it when I was out of town at a soccer tournament. As of right now, for Mercedes, weirdly enough, I know that this is a bad look. This is an awful look. This looks terrible. If the daily could turn back up, you do have daily divergence. Do you have any reason for getting in early? No, I would say you do not. So this would more so be, hey, wait for the swing trade signal. It has a divergence behind it. Maybe we can make a move maybe to go test that 200 or even beat that 200, right? Because we're closer to the center line, I'm confident to say if we cross like that, look at that, test the high, go make a new one, maybe towards this area. That would be a great area to get to, right? You get up to this area, do something like this, got yourself a little bit of structure now. So I actually don't mind this look if this can start to see some positivity. Good morning, Anubis Gaming. How's Apple looking? Apple's setting up a little 30-minute divergence, kind of a wonky one, right? Causing you to manage the trade a little bit. But for the most part, you're looking for that 2-hour to turn up. That 2-hour turns up, some positivity can be had. You're seeing some 30-minute signals that still say they're holding the divergences really well. So this could just be a reaction down to flush people out, maybe take out some stops or something like that. And then we'll see if that can turn right back up. As of right now, haven't had to manage the trade just yet, right? Because that's not curled down. The 15-minute, I believe, isn't even, it's curling down as of now. So you're looking for that positivity, right? So positivity here can be a good sign for Apple to see a prolonged pop. We'll see. Exactly, Dave. Good eye. GME squeezes on the 15-minute positive momentum. You got to be just aware of this hourly if it curls down, though, guys. That hourly curls down is not the moment. For AMC, you're looking at that hourly too, saying, hey, if that curls down, it's not the moment. Even 30-minute. Remember, 30 minutes cross down for AMC. So if by the end of the day that curls back up, that can say, hey, that might have a big move in it. But if that continues and continues and continues, and then we continue down. As of right now, you know, earnings can be a 50-50 flip. We talk about that all the time. And earnings for GameStop can be a 50-50 flip for something like AMC. Boeing? I mean, Boeing's a 30-minute curl down, but I don't necessarily take 30-minute curl downs as a trade opportunity. I just look for the reversal signal. So I'd more be like, okay, I played the pop. Did that make me enough money? Now I need to manage that trade, definitely. For the most part, a 2-hour getting up towards the center line would be the best scenario. If you make a 30-minute another point of divergence down there, that would be okay. You do have 2-hour divergence across, 4-hour divergence across, right? Daily divergence across. You have all of it. So if Boeing's going to see a big move, it needs some daily scale to turn up. Pretty much if the daily scale turns up here, maybe we go test something like 196 actually over time. Exxon dove off a cliff. Exxon, let's go look at this. Oil is seeing a little bit of a rough day. Let me get rid of some lines here. We did break through that area. Are we setting up a 30-minute thing? No, it's really just dropping off a cliff telling you, hey, downside potential. Not a lot to go off of here besides that 2-hour is turned up with no divergence, unfortunately. So unless we make a 30-minute divergence here soon, Like this just wicks back up. This is just no real trade setup on this one, as far as I see it. Gold's starting to reverse back down. This is where we got to pay attention if that starts to curl down. The dollar still remaining up 0.13. SPY up 0.27. Qs up 0.48. So we are seeing that a little bit of selling maybe behind the curtain, but not enough to really convince us like, hey, that can add to the rigged move. We'd want to see a little bit higher price than that. Just keep in mind the bigger time frame. The 2 hour has curled up, so most likely we will go touch that daily expected move. We just have to pay attention if that 30-minute rotates down. Because if the 30-minute rotates down, then divergence point, right? Divergence point. But if that can rotate back up from this level, that would be a good signal. But as of right now, the 2 hours rotated up, the 30 minutes rotated up, so there's no reason for downside just yet. I'm out of my shorts with gold. Yeah, looking over still at gold, I'm still waiting to see if that 30-minute can rotate down. Because if that 30-minute can rotate down, you've been pretty much piling up in this area for a long time. We just got to see, is there going to be a break out or a break down? All right, so we got a little fight between a couple people in the chat, right? We got one person long, one person short, one person getting rid of their shorts. Is super micro like, no, that's MicroStrategy. There it is. Oh, well, duh, SMCI. I don't pay attention to SMCI very often, but there's one thing about SMCI that I'm liking. The rejection 2 hour divergence here is very good at turning up daily charts. So the daily chart is what I'm paying attention to. The daily chart, the reason I'm paying attention to it, it does have divergence. So weirdly enough, SMCI can see some major positivity, right? So we're seeing a lot of signals that could say, hey, a bunch of positivity can come in if daily charts rotate up. I'm not gonna lie, SMCI, I've pretty much never traded it, and I always forget that it's super micro computers. Or computer. Amazon seeing a nice little move here. This is one on the 30-minute, curled up, never curled back down. This is one that I don't think has the best trade setups. Might have some 2 hour that says some stuff about it. That 2 hour is able to rotate up as of the previous bar. Now we're seeing that continuation. SMCI is awesome, but you got to manage it. Yeah, you probably have to manage it pretty closely. I don't think I've ever taken a trade on SMCI. I don't remember. Maybe I did a couple months ago. I can't remember. I feel like the world would end before the recession. Well, if you think that, see the world USA. If you really think that, then I'd be really paying attention to this debate and what happens afterwards. I'd really be paying attention to what happens well, first, before the election, because if the debate does not go well for one side, there can be some kind of bad thing that happens that causes some funkiness with the election. And then if after the election a certain person is elected, we could see some funkiness happen around the world as well. So, or actually in America, not necessarily the world, but we'll see what happens with it. I am always going to be, it's very hard to be optimistic these days, but I am going to be optimistic these days. I'm going to try to be as optimistic as possible. I'm not going to try to be a pessimist when I have a baby girl who has to grow up in this world, right? So I'm going to be positive about it. I'm just going to take my responsibilities as a man and protect my family and do what's best for them, and I think we'll be okay. 2 hour curls up for volatility. That is something I'd pay attention to. We're getting a little bit of a spike here in the yield. We'll see if that actually does spike up. Right, I know it's down, but I'm just basing out signals that could say, hey, this might actually spike up, which is interesting going into CPI. Remember, a lot of people still talking about a 0.5 50 basis points cut. So if they want that to go away a little bit, they might say, oh, there is inflation in there, okay? So maybe an even inflation causes them to believe 0.25 is the right move. We'll see. Exactly, Sid. And that's what I was talking with my dad about yesterday, or not yesterday, 2 days ago. 2 days ago, went and saw my dad. He was talking about it. And then my brother was there as well, my older brother. And I was just sitting there and they were like, so what do you think about Kamala? And I go, I think she, in the last 2 weeks, has changed her stance on pretty much everything to be at least a little bit better so that she can actually get votes. But when she gets into office, she's going to implement all the crazy things that she said in the beginning. And then my brother was like, oh, that's not, my brother was like, wait, I think I might have saw that. He looked it up. And he goes, oh, yeah, literally, you can see all of the points. Like, he looked it up for 1 second. He goes, oh, wow, she literally has flipped everything in like a week. And I was like, yeah. So she's going to flip it to get votes. And I think that's a shady thing. And then my dad said something really smart. And I really like it, guys, since we're talking about just the debate for a second here. We're not getting into politics, right? We're not going to talk about that. I don't care who you're voting for. Vote for whoever you want, based on whatever you want. I encourage you to vote based on policy that can actually benefit you, but you make your own decision. I think that's perfectly fine. But my dad said something great, and he was like, you know, it would be nice if we actually held presidential candidates accountable. If we actually said, hey, the things that you said you were going to implement, that you published you were going to implement, and the things that you said you were going to do, did you actually do them? Did you hold true to that? And then hold you accountable for that. And I was like, yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I literally, I might go buy some snacks, and me and my wife like to watch that stuff together. She does a great fake Southern accent. Yeah, trying to, wait, I was about to sound like Irish or something. Or Scottish. Try to get some of those votes. What is it? Maybe lock them doors and turn the lights down low. Play that music, something soft and slow. Trump did the vast majority of what he said he'd do. That's good business. Jessica, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate it. Everyone, welcome Jessica into the chat. Make sure that they feel comfortable commenting, asking questions, anything like that. If you want to ask any questions about what's going on your chart here, what these lines are, or maybe about some of the courses that are down in the description, those will be up until after the CPI pretty much. So we're looking for a day after the CPI. September 12th is what I overall decided. Really want to make sure people can. And we're back. Okay, the chat disconnected for a second. Love Trump's no tax on Social Security. Why anyway is Social Security tax? Makes no sense. We will give you 2K and subtract 200. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't like that people can't understand the whole tariffs thing. Like, the tariffs thing makes so much sense, by the way. Oh, and Z Shoddy, if you have a little question, let me know. If you you can always ask the question here, and if we can talk about it, I'll talk about it. Yeah, the government's going to give you a check and then charge you taxes on the check that the government just gave you with tax money. They're going to tax taxed money. Makes sense if you don't think about it at all. It's just funny. It's just funny to me that you work, you make an income, that gets taxed. Then you use the rest of the money, you pay for stuff, that gets taxed. And then whatever stuff you pay for, if you would sell it, then you have to get taxed again. It's just like crazy to me. What do you do when the VIX is less than 20 for the strat? You take profit earlier, right? That's kind of a small point that's made in there, but you can still use the strategy when it's below 20. It just tells you might want to take profit a little bit earlier. We talk about, waiting to see, because usually you can make 100% and things like that. You just want to make that profit a little bit earlier. Yep. Great question, Z Shoddy. Great question. Because if you try to make those big percentages, and when it goes below 20, here's the thing, Z Shoddy. When you see it going below 20, if you see something really bullish, that's one you can hang on to, right? If it's a bullish trade. More so, that's around trying to short something. If you're trying to short something when volatility is below 20 with the strategies, it's going to be a little bit difficult because you're not going to see those bigger swings. But as volatility subsides, the market overall starts to look a little bit more bullish, or like it's bottoming out. So what you want to pay attention to is, are you seeing a bullish setup while volatility subsides? That one is more like, okay, volatility is subsiding, I can maybe hold on to this. But if you're trying to short something, it means take profit a lot earlier. You can also take profit earlier with the long side as well. because a lot of the time you'll see drawn out moves, not necessarily big spikes if volatility is coming down. So it could take longer. It could mean, hey, take a longer expiration. But the overall thing is, if it's below 20, using these strategies, you really want to take profit a little bit earlier, something around even 20 to 50% on those moves. If you catch one that hits at 100%, that's great, especially if it's a bullish one. That's usually what you'll see. Oracle making moves right now. We'll see. 30-minute curl back up. Remember, 30 minutes have to curl back up. 30 minutes curl back up says, hey, that could be a good moment. Yeah, Z-Shotty, that was a great question. We don't get that question a lot, so I really do appreciate it. And thank you so much for taking the course. How have you felt about it so far, Z-Shotty? You think it's overall something you're learning from? I keep buying ELF and it keeps dropping. Let's go look at that real quick. ELF Beauty keeps dropping down, keeps dropping down, keeps dropping down, first of all. Okay, so the key thing here is you have that negative momentum. You've curled down on the daily scale. And notice this. This is why we're talking about the daily signals right now, creating that divergence. Look how this one didn't. So you still want to treat those daily curlovers as bad if you're looking for a divergence on a stock. But just note that if it would do this, that's when you react. You don't buy, you don't buy, you don't buy, you don't buy. You got to make sure that that is turning back around and you see that positive momentum coming back in. But yes, this is curling down. There's not a lot of reversal signals. Sorry, of course it's the morning, so I got a hiccup. Oh my goodness. So as of right now, what would you expect from this stock? Well, continue to do what you're doing, right? So, I'm halfway through the divergences, etc. Of course. Awesome. That is fantastic. Yeah, the using indicators course, that's fantastic. Divergence is a great indication to pay attention to. It's not necessarily an indicator, but it is something that you can learn. With Tesla 2-hour divergence, do you see it double topping and then shifting to the downside? Raphael, I'm going to tell you how you're going to see if that's going to create a double top, all right? This hourly here. If this hourly is able to curl up, you see that little bit of green coming in? If that hourly curls up, look for that to be positive for just a couple, maybe 3 hours, maybe even react a little bit higher, get to the top of the zone towards 240, and then see if that turns back down. Look for that divergence point on an hourly chart. You can probably look on a 30-minute. It's just going to be a little bit drawn out. That's why I don't like it. I don't like this look too much. I want it to be nice and curvy, just like my women. I want them to be nice and curvy. All right, so if that pops up like this, curves up for a little bit and then curls back down, that's what you'll see if there's some kind of reversal taking place. Now, the job's not done. This could retest and break out again. So this could just turn back up. But as that goes down, you just need to react and manage the trade just like we do in the course if that does react back up. But yes, I think that you're looking for something up in these areas. Let me go look at the weekly move real quick to make sure that makes sense. Double top would make sense, actually. DIA, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the thing. DIA. So if I did make ranges for the Dow, because someone did email me about that, and I think, Z-Shotty, was it you who emailed me about that? I mentioned it yesterday. For next week, I'm going to add DIA just to the weekly expected moves. I think I like that ETF. I like it a lot. No, but I was going to. Okay, someone else emailed me about the Dow as well. I noticed it Monday morning, so I couldn't make the range for it. But starting out next week, I am going to add DIA, and I'm going to reorganize my little picture that I put out on Patreon every week. I'm going to organize that so you can see it a little bit better, kind of have the indices at the top and have some stocks that are related to each other as you go down. So we're going to have some... Or maybe we'll look at it from a relative performance thing, an importance thing, right? But for the most part, we'll kind of reorganize it so it's a little bit better because I'm not the most organized individual. I do produce the info in an organized enough fashion, but I just think it would be helpful to see all the indices in one place, TLT, and then you get all the stock list. So we're going to work on that. I just got to, you know me, I got to find time, but I think I could find some time this week to actually do that pretty easily. Where do I think NVIDIA lands today? It really depends on if this 30-minute's going to curl down. Sorry, we're on an hourly chart. It really depends if this 30-minute curls down. If this 30-minute curls down, well, then we have two things to pay attention to. All right, does that curl down and then kind of just hover in this area and then turn back up? Because that is what you would want to see to head higher. Now, if you still want to head higher, but you want to go down again, we are going positive, so there is a chance we could make a higher low, do something like that. That type of look would look nice. You have a divergence with the simple down and a lower high, curls back up into positive territory. That's what I'd be looking for from the 30-minute. Are you going to see all of that before you actually get CPI? That's the question. So that's what I would like to see for a trade setup. I'm already in this trade as of right now, as of this bar right here. Was it this one? It's this one. This one's green. So as of 103.43, that's when I actually went long on the stock. Still holding it if that 30-minute crosses down. I'm just holding it in case there's some kind of basing out. Capil? Dash Panda. I'm trying my best. Capil, something like that. Thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you being here. Make sure to say hi in the chat. Oh, you did. You asked about NVIDIA. There you go. So NVIDIA, yeah, really paying attention if this 30-minute crosses down. If that 30-minute does cross down, I think the most likely place that that 30-minute does go to, weirdly enough, if just that 30-minute does curl down, you can end up down towards maybe even like $95. You can end up down towards this area. You can end up down towards 95.63. So that's how bad it can get according to pretty much the options market, right? Now, it's not exactly this line, but that's been a pretty good support for us. Pretty good resistance in the past as well. So if that 30-minute curls down, we could end up all the way down to here. So that tells you I need to react, right? So I'm going to react if that curls down. But then if it turns back up, I'm just going to go, oh, okay, reapply the position, right? Does that make sense, Kapil? And I hope I'm saying it right, but I'm sorry if I'm not. Do I think CPI data will be good? I think it'll come in exactly flat. I think the last one was 3.2, the consensus is 3.2, the forecast is 3.2. If they really wanted to say, oh, we can cut by 0.25, we still have to be wary of the data, but this is a good thing and we're still going to cut by 0.25, well, then that just tells you, okay, then most likely a flat reading or a little bit down would make some sense. But the weird part for me is yields look like they want some kind of reaction. So we'll see, but it's all dependent on the data with the yields. Gold is still having the divergences there. Yeah, that's one that I've been thinking about going back on the short side if that 30-minute can cross down. If that 30-minute crosses down, dollar might start to scale up pretty quick. Dollar already scaling up, still 0.10, nothing too crazy there. Yeah, you're still seeing those block orders of about 5,000 continue to come in for GME. For calls for, weirdly enough, some of them are for this week, right? Some of them are for the 13th, which is kind of crazy to think about. Awesome, Kapil. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you for joining. Really appreciate it. A couple subscribers this morning. We like to see it. Thank you, guys. Remember, we get more people in here because you guys like the video, and I really appreciate you guys liking the videos. It's awesome. We get to grow the community. We get to teach people a little bit more about how to follow these indicators. And if they want to get more in depth, want to get the real teaching, well, the course is down there in the description. But if you want to hang out, watch about 100 videos, you can probably piece some stuff together. You know what I mean? As of right now, seeing the SPY chart start to rotate over. Someone asking about the SPY, Kalani. Same thing as NVIDIA, right? We do not, now, a little bit different than NVIDIA, though. We do not have a strong base here. I want to be very clear about that. We do not have a strong base here. So we could go make that strong base first and then see what happens, right? A daily expected move, maybe we make a divergence outside that, and then if we get that good reaction after CPI, maybe we end up going to the upside with the real 2-hour move. And free indeed, hopefully this was helpful. This is the SPY right here for you. Oh God, Siri, what did you do? Siri, no. Let me chug some coffee. Oh my Lord. Well, I think Warren Buffett knew something, that little cheater. That little cheater, Warren Buffett. What the heck was going on in here? Bad things, good earnings. Good. Siri falls. Siri falls after being trading under new structure. Siri falls. 18 minutes ago. Reuters. Reuters, are you sure about that? You sure about that? Oh, okay. You guys keep me grounded. I got too excited. Darn it. Bummer. You guys, plus 827%. On the strong sell for 30%, 35% ROI this week. I'm looking for a discounted re-entry again for the analysis there for VNQ. Yeah, looking at something like VNQ, this is great. I'm glad you were able to make a little bit out of it. Now you want to pay attention, right? You're seeing one more move up. What does that tell me? Most likely another little 2-hour divergence is in here where I can start to get in the play. You see that 2-hour? If that 2-hour rotates back down, that says, hey, VNQ, the real estate, is about to experience some bad things. That's what it tells me. Doesn't mean it says there's highly probable to see bad things on the daily scale, right? It doesn't mean it has to happen. It just means highly probable. So it would be a high probable trade. That's what I like to take, high probable trades. Yeah, my bad, Amog. I got a little excited. But there's not a lot of things you can do with that besides just look for price action as it goes forward. Financials are dropping pretty hard. Can we look at Oracle? We can. What's the ticker for Oracle again? And then Apple, there you go. Okay, Apple showing this again. Remember that 30-minute never crossed down. So the 15-minute never crossed. Oh, it did cross down for a moment. Now it's telling you upside again. So as of right now, this is some management of trades. But at the end of the day, you could end up in the big move. And this 15-minute curling up in about 9 minutes could be a big sign that we're about to break out, actually. And I think you're going to see a 2-hour cross up here. ORCL. We don't look at this one too often, but solid move from Oracle. Bunch of little divergences there, kind of flat, but earnings, anything can happen, right? So was there an overall hint to this? It would just be, hey, if I was in a daily swing trade and I held on to that, even though, you know, everything right here would say take profit. But for the most part, if you were able to hold on to a couple contracts, maybe for fun, for earnings, hey, great play to the upside. Now you're kind of looking for that 30-minute pullback because that thing's cooked. Looking for the 30-minute to really base out, kind of come down like this and give me that next curl up. But this can just continue. JP Morgan. Let's go look at that real quick. Ooh, that is... That's ugly. That's real ugly. Now, something to pay attention to is still if that reverses back around, but that's just an ugly move. The daily scale here had some no real divergence. Actually, no real divergence here. Besides, unless you go all the way across, we might want to look at a bigger scale here and see if this is going to add up to something over time. Yeah, the weekly crossing down there, you have confirmed weekly divergence. That's why I was looking at that. Okay, so weekly divergence has been confirmed if that holds for 3 days, right? That has to hold till Friday. But if that does cross down, that means lower prices is likely. Still could just be a pullback. We're pretty up high, so it still could just pull back down to that 50, maybe go into our zone down towards 189.61, or go down into this area. What could form in that area? Well, if this is a strong base, we could come down, get some kind of reaction, and then break through. That's kind of what I would be looking for from JP Morgan if that weekly signal holds. For now, not a lot of good things happening for upside unless that 2 hour is able to, you know, just turn right back around. I think that's pretty ugly. How do I think GME will do after earnings? I kind of believe that GME might actually do bad after earnings and then shake everyone out and then next week actually see the real move. That's just what I think. But I think earnings is a great thing, and if they try to beat this thing up before earnings, well, I'd be paying close attention because if this thing just curls up on a 30-minute, it could be the moment. It's kind of like earnings has a good thing and a bad thing to it, guys. Earnings for GME has a good thing and it has a very bad thing. The good thing is you could get some unexpected news that causes an unexpected reaction, maybe to the upside, maybe to the downside. You don't know, but it could be an upside move. Awesome, that would be great. Maybe they put that cash to work. I don't know. But The bad side to that is that short sellers and market makers do not want this to go up. And earnings is very obvious because there's a little E on my screen. They're all paying attention to it. So that tells me they could easily have orders already placed up in these areas that if you do start to get that breakout moment, it starts to clamp down. So the main take here for GME is going to be if you get positivity from earnings, you got to get above 29.06. You see that line there? That would take them off guard. Anything below 29.06, they can clamp down on. All right, you have to get all the way above 29.06. This is what the market maker and options market is prepared for. Anything above that, if you keep going above that, if you hold above that, they're not prepared for that. Exactly, Z-Shotty. They're already prepared too with this, and they have a huge amount of volatility priced in, so they can be prepared throughout this whole move. Even if you go up towards 29, you see a 30% increase in the price of the stock, and then boom, it just starts to head down because it really gets clamped down on stopping the gamma squeeze. NVIDIA and Tesla, NVIDIA and Tesla. Okay, so NVIDIA real quick, let's do that one first. Curls down on the 30-minute, bad. Other than that, that's all you have to watch for. Everything looks good. Everything's looking good. You have a 30-minute divergence that's rolling up the 2-hour. Looks like you're experiencing that 2-hour bounce. We'll see if that can take you a little bit higher. That looks decent, but it's way down here in negative territory, so I have to be aware of any time that wants to roll down. All right, anytime. That could roll down up here. That could roll down right now. We'll see what happens with that. If this 2-hour would roll over right now, pretty sure we're going to go down towards something like 95.63 if volatility picks up. But if we just roll down on the 30-minute, and Ava, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Really appreciate you being here. If it does curl down on the 30-minute, that can be a little bit more brief, right? So 30 minutes is going to be the most important to watch for downside as of now, and then reaction from the 30-minute can cause that upside. So 30-minute chart really important here. But pretty much it's 30-minute curls down bad. As of right now, things look good, but not the best. This is still in negative territory, so I have to be aware of that 2-hour able to rotate down. That's why I'm watching that 30-minute very, very closely in case something bad happens. Tesla, a little bit different story. You see that 2-hour about to curl up. I really like the hourly for Tesla right now. I don't look at hourly a ton. I like my 30-minute charts, but that looks a little wonky. Now, we talked about the consolidation for continuation last night, and that looks like it's taking place. That hourly turns up. You have a good shot to go test actually these highs up here. Watch out if that double tops out and starts to fall dramatically, right? We want to treat this as this could be bad, but if it also curls down here and then turns back up, that could just be a good signal to head higher. Sorry, that's a lot of drawings on the chart, my bad. But yeah, cup and handle on the hourly would be nice, or 30-minute would be nice. For bullishness, a double top on the hourly is what you're overall looking for if there's going to be downside, and that will prove itself with the 2-hour, the 1-hour, and those kinds of things. Awesome, Portugal Paradise. Portugal. Rotation back into tech. It could be happening, yeah. So we'll see what's going on with that. The dollar still remaining a little bit elevated, and just note, people are still trying to short this. It's heading closer to the put side than the call side as of right now. So this can lead to what we talked about in last night's video. Who watched last night's video? If you did, give yourself a big pat on the back, because we're overall talking about if we keep getting these higher PCC readings while the dollar schemes higher, we actually are seeing some of that rigged behavior, but we're not seeing it in the PCC, meaning they could do like some kind of mini short squeeze that then leads to a rug pull next week or at the end of the week. Watch it on the Stairmaster. That's what's up. That is some dedication. I love that. That's awesome. Likely to be in how the market is likely going to react. Likely. It really depends though, guys. You have to know, like, I wish I knew the data that was going to be produced, right? I wish I knew. We can pay attention to the signals and just say something like NVIDIA can give us a great hint if this 30-minute does rotate down. Now, is that going to be an overreaction? Then we turn back up. But as far as the data goes, if you really want to like look through the data, well, think of the last piece of data we got. That came in either beneficial for the market and then the other things were revised, it came in beneficial for the market or even. All right, so if I look at this data and I go, well, what would overall be said? Isn't it interesting that all of this is just pretty much even, right? And then you have the inflation rate year over year coming down. So what if all of this came in even and then the inflation rate year over year came down? That's kind of what I think will end up happening, but we'll see, right? Oh, the main thing I want to pay attention to for trading, right? I don't want to gamble based on what I think could happen with the data because they have a forecast over here, right? What I want to do is look at the data, look for the reaction to the data, and then react in real time. If I want to, and if I want to be intelligent, I can stay out of everything, look for the data, watch for a basing out signal if we drop down lower to see if people are getting caught in the downside, and then see some kind of upside move, right? React is overall the best way to play any kind of data, any kind of earnings. I know earnings is more of a downsize the position, right? But, and that could be said as well for data. So if you think that something is really going to happen, you really like a signal, you have a big piece of data coming out tomorrow. So that can really affect stocks. I'm sure there's going to be a huge amount of implied volatility tomorrow. So that just tells me maybe I need to downsize my position, treat it kind of like earnings. I watched 50%. We like that. That's all right. That's all right. So I think that would be the way to treat it as far as it goes. But are you seeing something that's blatantly obvious in the data? I think that the data is coming in pretty flat these days. Gold dropping down. Ooh, we'll see if that can curl down on the 30-minute. That's a good sign for the dollar. So gold dropping off like this, not the best thing in the world, but if that rotates into tech stocks, that could get interesting. Mara's starting to see an upside. Bitcoin, something big to pay attention to here is still that daily scale. If that can turn up, Bitcoin can see a massive move, which means good things for Mara, which does have a divergence on your MACD. So Mara looking like some positivity could be there. I think it's all dependent on tomorrow, though. That's kind of the bad part. Maybe the weekly expected move for NVIDIA. Yeah, I could tell you that real quick. We don't mind. We don't mind for today. Upside for NVIDIA is 111.65, and then for the downside, you have 94.01. So you notice that would be like the perfect amount to get to get this 2 hour close to that center line, right? If we just did that for the next 2 hour bar, or maybe 2 more 2 hour bars, we get up towards this area and then we fall flat. That's something to pay attention to. So weirdly enough, if NVIDIA does this before that news, I'm gonna more so lean towards this because there's a 68% probability you end below that line, right? So I would more lean towards downside after CPI if NVIDIA did that. Now, NVIDIA is not doing that, so if the 30-minute does cross down and then start to curl back up, I need to pay attention to if that news is good and that curls NVIDIA back up to the upside on the 30-minute, right? This look is still important. So you're looking for either this or this, in my opinion. Ooh, USO has a good one. Yeah, sometimes it pays to look at the actual fund here. Ooh, that's a great, I love that. Now, I know that's kind of dramatic drop off, but it is still holding that divergence point. You just got multiple divergence at this time. So what you're looking for here is that good curl up. You need a good curl up because this is ugly, right? These bars are not good looking. So you need that strength to come in, really curl up on this. And if oil is going to see upside, man, if oil's going to see upside, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? But yeah, this can curl up 2 hour charts. I'm sure that 2 hour already curled up, right? Yeah, so 2 hour trying to curl back down. Probably going to reject here, honestly, but we'll see. As of right now, still bad, right? Bad on the 30-minute. Bad, 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 bad. If that curls up, it could look better, right? What is XXXXOP gas export? Okay, yeah, you're seeing a little bit similar here. Not the best signal, but I want to see this. You see this? I see this big rounded out move. So I want to see if a bigger time frame has any divergence with that level. Not necessarily the 2 hour, probably a daily. daily divergence is forming here. So if you get prolonged positivity, this can make a move. It does have divergence, so that move can be pretty good. But that daily needs to cross up, right? You need that to cross up, get closer to that center line, crosses up, good things can happen. Scored a 10-gallon fish tank, that's what's up. Oh, SoFi? Yeah, with SoFi, you're looking at this, and overall, I guess there was some kind of split, right? Or no, not SoFi, different one? So that's Siri? Siri was the split. SoFi on the daily scale, still turning down. Okay, still turning down with divergence. So what that tells me is pay attention if weekly starts to roll over. That can get ugly, all right? I have to pay attention to that. Now, if that daily rotates back up, it's still in positive territory. Good things can happen. We can take out this high. Maybe this was all some kind of big cup and handle type thing, right? So for now, am I seeing any basing out signals? I'm seeing a 30-minute divergence. Okay, 30-minute divergence pops up. Hey, we can start to curl up a 2-hour chart. That's still a little negative. Got to be aware of a lower high. But for the most part, it looks pretty good. Daily divergence above it, though, tells me I got to watch out for a 2-hour lower high. How can you find dark pools? There was a site that I like to use. Let's see which one it was. Oh, thing is, I haven't really been paying too much attention to it. Let me see if this is it. I haven't been paying too much attention to it just because I know that it's kind of like, okay, like just hold the thing. But I have looked at cheddar flow before. This one? No, that's not it. Oh, what's the one I freaking liked? Trend Spider. I've seen people use Trend Spider. Yo, did the thing I used to use just like go out of business? What the fuck? That's it, Trady Ticks. I liked this one, and if you pay, you can get the updated info in real time, but I like this one. I'll hold it like this so you can see tradyticks.com. I thought this one was pretty good. I think I actually have that. I literally have it in my bookmarks. I don't know why I'm being stupid. Told you Trady 6 has the first. Yeah, I like that one a lot. I think it was fun. You can actually look up some YouTube videos on how to read into it too if you're not familiar with dark pool, because I wasn't really familiar with dark pool until about 6 months ago. Like, I knew about it, I knew what it was, I knew what it did, but I didn't know really what to look for as far as the data goes. So you can find a bunch of videos on it. Oh, my coffee's getting to that like awkward kind of getting cool. That's not good. All right, so as things look like they're kind of sluggish, doesn't it look a little sluggish? It'd still be fine to consolidate here too. That's kind of sick, black and gray ones. It's kind of dope. Go look at it. I mean, we can always look at these type of stuff. Rocket Lab. Ooh, not the best stuff there. Did you at least get a 2-hour divergence here? No, you didn't. That's unfortunate. So this all looks not the best. Daily scale turning down. So if Reddit believes this should see a big move, then a daily turn up is what you're overall looking for. Look for that daily turn up above all the moving averages, curl up this MACD. Maybe you see a move that kind of goes up here or even a little bit higher, right? So if this can really curl up, I'd just watch out for some kind of double top or divergence. But for the most part, that's all I'm really seeing. Maybe a 4-hour would look okay, right? See that by the center line? 4-hour looks okay here. Little 4-hour play for a couple of weeks there. Yeah, I think that's most likely. I'd look at that 4-hour, see if that can see some positivity, test the high, go make a new one. Maybe you're ending up cup and handling or something. AM Dizzle trying so hard to be NVIDIA these days. I don't know though. Jim Cramer says that AMD is a big buy right now. Maybe he's right for a brief moment. We'll see. Minus 20, like, did you lose 20 babies? To the test, you're gonna put it to the test. What's divergence? Okay, divergence very simply. We'll try to be very simple. I'll try not to drag it out so you can think of it very simply. The first thing you want to do is to notice divergence. Divergence is when the price action is heading in a downward trend, but your momentum indicators are heading in an upward trend, right? So it is a time where your indicators look opposite of your price action. So this is why we liked NVIDIA and why we were talking about a bounce coming on Monday. Over the weekend, we were talking about it. All right. Jari, does that help? That's the simplest explanation. That's all it is. Now, when do you know that is confirmed? When you see that actually cross up with a solid green bar above the 9, which is the red line here. So you see that cross up right on this, and then that tells you, okay, the divergence is taking place. The divergence is there. That's what it tells you. Oh, sorry, it wasn't Jari. I'm sorry about that. Unsettled on purpose, my bad. Yeah, that's all it is. If you really think about it very simply, that's all it is. This is what we discuss in the course, is more around how to trade it, right? How to use it. That's the great part. Like, that's what we say in the MACD section. It's one of the first things I say in the course as far in the using technical indicators MACD section. It's one of the first thing I say. Because, okay, I know, okay, now I could sit there and tell you MACD stands for moving average convergence divergence. Does that help you in any way? Does it help you in any way to know what the MACD is? Or would you rather know what to look for? How can you use it? So that's what we go off of in those courses, how to actually use this information. And divergence is a big part of your MACD and RSI, so I highly encourage you to learn more and more about divergences. The strength of the divergence, the significance of the divergence are all things that we talk about in the course. Sweet. All right, I'm just seeing what's going on out there, seeing if any news comes out. Apple seeing some news there. GameStop a little bit trending. Looks like interesting. Nothing really there though. Sing it, Luke. You got a great voice. Why, thank you. Yesterday, baby girl was being a little bit difficult, so we turned on some music and I sang for like 30 minutes. And she sat there and went, eh. So she was trying. She's totally tone deaf, though. It was terrible. Abercrombie and the Fitches. Let's go look at it, because I think it's funny that this is still a stock. Now, they did some good stuff, apparently. I've looked into it a little bit. But yes, that is 2-hour divergence. Now you're seeing that time where you might need to manage the trade, right? It might just mean, hey, this is still a good signal. If the 2-hour curls down, that's bad. Immediately, you got to know, that's bad. If the 2 hours turns over, there's no reason for upside on the 2-hour. But if you go into a 30-minute and you see this, you're looking for that divergence in the near price action then. What if it just does this and then curls right back up? That would be a great little setup. You'd have a 30-minute and a 2-hour at the same time. Looking at the daily scale. So you're seeing it pretty good there. And then actually, weirdly enough, you have a daily divergence as well. So if you get enough positivity and you confirm that daily, ANF might be seeing a good move to start to take out this high eventually. All right. Now I say eventually because that can still take months to happen, but you have a 30-minute signal that could form. That could be a 30-minute signal behind a 2-hour, behind a daily, and boom, to the upside. So very good find. Very good find, Jeffrey. I kind of like it. So you just say, hey, 2-hour divergence. I say, hey, 30-minute divergence forming. 2-hour divergence there, and a daily divergence forming. SPY 30-minute is turning down. Let's go check on that for a brief moment here. Not seeing any red yet, all right? Not seeing any red, but that monthly expected move is holding. So if we needed to make a stronger base, what would we do? Well, we'd chop down to that daily expected move, see if we can get a turnaround. As of right now, looks like the dollar is scaling up, so that still would make a little bit of sense as the market was positive while that was positive. Volatility turning up on the 30-minute with divergence, okay? So volatility has just turned up with divergence on the 30-minute chart. That tells me I gotta watch out because this 2-hour might be curling up. All right, so if someone was asking me based on the technicals with what it looks like right now, remember, we're gonna come back by the end of the day. A lot can change by the end of the day. But if this 2-hour curls up before that info, it means volatility is ready to pop. So if you get that bad news, volatility could skyrocket, okay? That's what that's telling me. These are basing out signals for volatility, which means the SPY can suffer from that, especially if we get some bad news. So we'll see what happens with it going forward. But I think with that signal holding firm at this point, I actually think the most likely scenario is if we see just a little bit of red here, we actually do go to this daily expected move. What do I think happens? Well, with that volatility signal, I think that this is likely. And then we see if that can turn back around, maybe even form a divergence with these levels. See if that can turn around. And then Wednesday morning, we see that kind of get some good news and you see that curl up. That's what I think will happen based on what I'm seeing right now. But I thinks, man. Language matters. Words matter. I think is not I know. Right? So I don't know, I think. That's key to understand. It doesn't mean I'm going to take some kind of SPY short down to the daily expected move for one day, right? I'm going to wait and see if that does happen, because if that does happen and then we get that good news, I have a great signal for some prolonged upside. XLF, I saw JP Morgan seeing some problems, so I'm wondering what this is doing. See, this could be this. Do you see what I'm saying? Like the market could even do this. The SPY could do this, right? We pop up, we curl back down, we go test that lower level again, and then we see that turn around and look at the divergence it can make. That's fantastic. That's super significant here. So I wouldn't be saying, yes, this is great right now. This is awful right now. This is terrible right now. You're pointing down into negative territory. That's very freaking bad. But if you get, an hour and a half of positivity and it goes like that, the story changes a lot. I think you have a chance that CPI could be good for the market. If they're going to use anything to hold the market up, it's going to be data. That's what I know. Yeah, we can check on coin. You want to look for a longer out play. Well, I'd still pay attention to Bitcoin if that confirmation does happen. As far as coin goes, you don't necessarily have divergence down here, right? But if Bitcoin sees positivity, most of the time, coin sees positivity. So when would I maybe make a, say, investment? Maybe we'll talk about investing or something. When would I make an investment? It's one is going to be when this daily does curl up, but I'm also going to be paying close attention to Bitcoin. If Bitcoin is able to curl this up, it has divergence at those levels. Sorry, it has divergence up there. It has divergence down here, a little bit significant on the RSI. Has that confirmed? No, but if it did, that is where I would talk with coin, right? I would use the technicals on Bitcoin to trade coin because it follows it a lot of the time. Pretty much most of the time. AMC, I like. I think you need a 30-minute to still curl up. I like that the daily's curled up. You're welcome. Hopefully that was helpful. That's how I see it. I think this 30-minute curl, remember, let's just talk about this again, just in case nobody was, a few people weren't around. I know we've got some new subscribers in here, Ava, Kapil, and Jessica. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. So we're going to talk about this again. And actually, maybe we could show, if I show you, it's going to be hard. We showed it in the past. So what you need to know about these is when the big moment happened, a 30-minute was crossed up, and then it never crossed back down until it saw a big top, right? So what did we also see, which we teach in the course how to do it, divergence and play them? Well, for AMC, if I go back and I look at it on the 30-minute, you actually saw the price action do this, but your indicator down here did this. What is that? What is that? At the exact high, it made that signal. What is that? Come on, someone's got to want to answer it. What is that? AMC gave you a perfect divergence sell signal at the high last time. And I'm kind of bummed out that I wasn't in it because I would have been able to play that bad boy pretty easily. But, for example, in case of NVIDIA MACD is negative, but the price is flat between 290. So what's that? Hold on. Divergence. Yes, perfect. So at the all-time high of AMC, right here, you saw a confirmation of divergence, and that led to a massive downturn. But the overall take here is you're going to see big swings. So when this went up, it went up to like I think it was like $150 or $200. It curled down on a 30-minute, telling you, hey, no more upside for now. Then it curled back up on the 30-minute and said, hey, there is more upside now, and went up to like $400 or something. So that's what I'd pay attention to. That's what I'd look for. And so at this moment, is the 30-minute turned up? No, it is actually turned down, saying pullback is still likely if that can break through. Now, that could just gap up and keep going, right? That could just gap up to curl up this MACD, and then we could see just more and more upside, especially if we get above 556, right? We got to get above that level. But I just think that's good to know as people who most likely do want to make money off of the play. I'm sure some of you might hold the stock for a longer period of time, like myself. But for the most part, if you're trying to make some kind of money out of the play, sell a few shares or something like that at a good level, those are the signals I would look for. How does divergence affect a stock price? Well, you need that breakthrough moment. A lot of the time when you do see the divergence confirm, you will see consolidation. Like sometimes, especially on 2 hours. Okay, on 2 hours, if I had a divergence down here, a lot of the time when it does pop up and confirm that divergence, shortly after that, you're going to see a little bit of buildup of liquidity, and then it makes another big move. So that's where we pay attention to the management of a trade, because if you're in options, time's not necessarily your friend a lot of the time. So we look for that 30-minute curl down. So that's kind of what we're paying attention to now. We've seen that 2 hour curl up. It looks decent, right? And then we want to see if this 30-minute curls down. That could mean, hey, maybe it just moves sideways for a long time. But just know sideways is still bad for an option because your time value goes down. Okay, so at this time, we'd like it to pull down like that. I think this would be the best trade setup as of right now. Or maybe a 2-hour divergence a little bit lower. So 30-minute looking for this, or maybe a overexcited level for the 2-hour. But 2-hour, I'm more so looking for the actual divergence point, some kind of spike like that. What's SPY daily low, monthly low? Oh, you need both, sorry. Daily low is gonna be 541.46. You're at the monthly low using it as resistance as of right now. You're rejecting from that monthly level. Remember we said this is where it becomes resistance. Now you're seeing that. Weirdly enough, if you go into probably like a 5-minute, you see the divergences all across the top, divergences all across the top. I don't use a 5-minute for trades, but you see a 15-minute little divergence there, not on the RSI. So this says, hey, 30-minute pullback is likely. But we still got to see that confirm, right? We got to see that cross down. So yeah, you're testing the monthly low while maybe going to reject from that monthly low using it as resistance, as we do sometimes, and see if that curls down to a daily low today. If that curls down like this, I'm pretty sure you're going to head down towards the zone, probably fill this gap, maybe even down towards 540 today or tomorrow. CINF. SINF. Ooh, that looks like a failed cup and handle to me. Now, this is a lower high. First thing you have to mention here, the 30-minute is still positive. So if this is just like kind of consolidated, maybe these were two excited things, and this is where that cup needs to form, which would make a little bit of sense, right? Well, then I would look for this 30-minute to still get beat up, maybe move sideways a little bit more, and then curl back up, right? See if that 30-minute can give you the next move higher. As of right now, though, 2-hour rejection, that's not looking too hot. Where's the divergence point? Here? Yeah, you almost have like, it's kind of hard to see, but you might have a double top divergence here with this level right there. So we don't like that. If the hourly curls over, bad things. If the 30-minute can curl back up, good things. That's how I would keep it very simple for myself. Sorry for swapping. What do you mean? Oh, wait. What the heck was I doing? I feel like I was doing something. Still, the important one's going to be in video. Yes, Cassie. So just think about it with some common sense for just a second. Just kind of turn off your analytical brain. Just turn on your street smarts for a second and just say, okay, if someone handed me a bag that was a size small and said, hey, there can be a lot of, you know, worthy things in here, and then another person that is 4 times bigger and said, hey, there could be some valuable things in here, which one would more likely have more valuable things in it, right? Which one could make you more money at the end of the day? So that's kind of what it is. It's the 30-minute has 30 minutes worth of price action. The 2-hour has 4 30 minutes worth of price action, right? So when you think about it that way, you're like, there's more volume in a 2-hour, there's less volume in a 30-minute. That's why a 2-hour signal can turn up a daily. A 30-minute signal can only turn up a 2-hour, right? So that's what I'd be looking into. I mean, Cassie, hopefully that made sense, but pretty much it's, yeah. Makes sense. Def overthinking it. Yeah, sometimes, I'm just going to be genuine too. Sometimes if your brain's just like really in tune, you're really hyped up, you're really looking at data, you're looking at all this stuff, take a big breath and just be like, what makes some sense to me? Like, what's my, you know, almost like, what's my bullshit meter say or something like that? You know, just like, what's my common sense telling me here, right? It's like, oh, okay, what's my common sense telling me here? Well, my common sense is telling me the dollar is scaling up. The dollar's bottomed. So most likely we will see some bad things soon. So maybe I just need to keep that in mind and look for a signal that says there's some bad things coming. This is one of those signals, but now I need to see it in the price action to make money off it, right? Maybe we do something like that, and then you go, okay, that's the bad signal. Yeah, Cassie, of course. Oh yeah, we haven't looked at DIA. I'm pretty sure it's the same as like the Dow Jones, pretty much. I don't like the daily divergence, but this still could be a handle in some way. So I still want to see that 2 hour is rotated up, curling back down, not a good sign. So 30-minute actually able to cross here for DIA. Looks like maybe go fill that gap, we'll see. Does momentum move into an upside move? So momentum moves like, let's do a good one right here. So momentum moves like this, where actually, yeah, that's more of a gap up, but yeah, that's still a good one. So a lot of the time with momentum, when you're looking for that, we're not trying to find the exact bottom. You're trying to see a time where you see positivity and then your indicator tells you, yes, that is good momentum, right? So a lot of the time you'll see a bottom, see a push, and then you'll get that time where it crosses, and that's when it is confirmed like, hey, this is some good momentum. It can have more upside. Boom, that's when you see it. So you're looking for the confirmation of good momentum. That's what these indicators help you do. They're not going to help you find like the exact level where momentum's going to kick in, right? You can use, now we use divergences on shorter time frames to see if they're going to rotate up bigger charts. That's what helps us out, right? I've dug into this stuff so it can help us out. So for something like Apple, right? You want to see this 2 hour get back to positive, right? You want to see this thing start to turn up, right? So what's a good signal that this momentum, right? Because if this was a little further away from crossing, you could see a bar like this, and then it crosses way up here, and you missed out on a lot of price action. So what I do is I go into a shorter time frame, and I look for momentum signals that can tell me if this is going to cross up. Right now, I'm seeing a lot of those signals, so pretty much momentum's telling me anywhere in this area is a solid place for some positive price action to the upside. And then if this goes positive, I can feel more confident with it. And then if that 2 hour rotates up, I can feel very confident with it and then see that move. And then I'll be in the move down here instead of here, where you can start to maybe get rejection on that 2 hour chart. That's why it helps you out. It really mitigates your risk actually by going into the shorter time frames to make your decision. Not too short, right? You don't want to go into a 5 minute and convince yourself everything's good. You want to go with something that's a little bit chunkier, like a 30 minute. Look at JP Morgan again. Let's check JP Morgan again. Let's see what's, oh, not that one. Still dropping off. This is not a good sign for banks. Oh my gosh, that is really bad. We did not make the 30-minute divergence, guys. Right? We were like, hey, just see if it can, but just note this is really freaking bad. Oh, it got bad. Oh, it got bad. Well, I'll tell you why this was the most probable thing to happen, right? We're talking about this in the market too. This is the SPY. Why? There's no reversal signal here. There's no reversal signal here. Reversal signals do matter. You just have a curl up right here. You curled up and you failed. You failed. So what was the most likely thing to happen from this area? As we spread out that MACD, is it really close to the center line or a little further away? It's a little further away, so I have to be aware of any time that is going to see negativity, because it's going to be harder to go into a sustainable positive trend without a strong base. So what happened was we got excited, we tried to go positive, right? If this would have done this, and then it would have looked pretty good. But so the only reason that I can come up with here, for the most part, is if I was paying attention to this, I would say there's no reversal signals in here. Anything that bounces can be met with sellers. If I have a reversal signal, that could look a little bit better. I mean, you always can bounce with these dramatic moves down. You always can bounce with those dramatic moves. You're just hoping this doesn't continue all week, right? You're not necessarily seeing signals for a bounce either. You might get lucky, but you do have a weekly divergence, so I'd be a little careful. Just hold on. Did someone go find, does JP Morgan have like, Does JP Morgan have GameStop positions? I have to ask because this is happening right before GameStop. I have to ask. Someone go find out for me. Hey, remember what we talked about as well? Banks? Anybody remember? What are other banks doing? Right? Uh-oh. That doesn't look good, does it? That looks bad for Bank of America. I know that this one is tied to GME, by the way. I know Bank of America is tied to GME. Very interesting that Warren Buffett sold it. Interesting, huh? We know this one's tied to it. Oh. Ooh, wow. Remember when we talked about the two things to pay attention to? Unemployment and bank failures? Unemployment and bank weakness? Well, we might be seeing a little bit of that, my friends. That's not good. That's not good. How is everyone, Freddie? We're doing fantastic. Watching some stocks so we couldn't be more giddy. Citigroup 2. Oh my goodness, Citigroup 2, huh? Volatility, might want to pay close attention to volatility. Yes, we're reacting up to there. We'll see if this 30-minute signal has some weight to it. Remember, that 30 minutes crossed up, it means, hey, the 2-hour has a good shot to turn up as well. We're seeing some rejection right off of that 20 level. We'll see if this 30-minute can go positive. If that thing goes positive, then you can bet your bottom dollar that the SPY is probably turning down and heading towards a daily expected move. Is it crash time? Well, considering all banks are suffering, which a lot of banks are included in the GME AMC thing, it's definitely possible. That's what we could say. It's definitely possible, but we'll pay attention to reversal signals. It's definitely possible. You just have this great curvature of that MACD, but I'm worried because this looks a lot like something like JP Morgan. I'm worried that that just starts to happen in actual stocks. So we'll see. I'm sure that doesn't happen today. Most likely that will go on into tomorrow or end of day if people are scared about AMC or GME. Oh, BK is doing all right. Not all banks. Are you trolling me? Now, this is actually a good signal. So look for the banks that have good signals. This is a good signal. Thank you for pointing it out, Lisa. This one here actually has a nice little 30-minute divergence, but you have to see if that's positive because right now a lot of banks are suffering, at least the ones that we've viewed in the last few, which I just randomly looked at them. I didn't know they were down, by the way. I just randomly looked at them, and we see a lot of dailies curling down as of now into negative territory. But thank you for pointing it out because this is a good signal. If this crosses, that's a good signal. As of right now, you have a very bad signal, a 30-minute down, into negative territory, so not very good. Yeah, KRE is something else you can look at as well. KRE showing a good signal as well. Now, not the best, not as good as the individual stock, obviously, of BK. But the divergence here on the MACD is there. You do not have it on the RSI, so that's a big difference. That can mean we can get some kind of pop, but that has a likelihood to drop off on the 2-hour side of things. You can notice the 2-hour, how deep is it? Very, very deep. It's going to take a load of work to do that. So you have to be aware of anything like this taking place to create that stronger base. What? Hulk Smash coming in with a very random comment. We're talking about banks. We're talking about banks. Do you have Tourette's? Because that was really random. How are the big banks correlated to GME? Well, I know that Bank of America is because Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, and BlackRock. Merrill Lynch owned the short seller positions, and then they almost went under, and so Bank of America had to buy them out. I think I said that right. I don't know what was going on, but we're talking about banks. And that could be it too, slot machine. That could be it too. So we're not really like saying anything's truly correlated. We're just like, hey, these are bad moves for banks. Like take it for what it is. Don't need to get all butthurt. My goodness. XLF's doing all right. Let's go look at that too. I think we looked at this a little bit. And it's down 1.4%, 30-minute rolling down. We'll see if that divergence is created. So we do have some decent setups. It looks like just a few stocks curling down on daily scales. That's the only thing. The other thing I think is funny, this is what I think is really funny. People that come in and call retailers pumpers, like, dude, I think like the average retail trader trades with like $20,000 maybe. That's, you realize like pumpers probably have to have millions and millions of dollars. So a little funny there. The pumpers are the Fed who bail out things, or the government who bails out things. But I like this signal. Anybody else? I like that signal. When do I get to go to the range, Luke? When I get better. I'm still working. I want to get good with my iron sights first, but oh, knee. I thought you were saying the thing from the Holy Grail, whatever it is. I thought you were going knee, knee, knee. You know what I mean? We are the knights who say knee. Monty Python. That's what I thought you were saying. That's my bad. I didn't know it was a stock, dude. I genuinely was like, why is this guy making Monty Python noises in my chat? Oh, that's funny. Okay, this looks like a massive, massive weakness here if the 2 hour rolls down. If this 2 hour rolls down, it's not going to be pretty. The daily has rotated down. If that actually, this didn't actually, I'm still going to hold to that. I think if the 2 hour turns down, I'm going to say it more like, hey, we could experience more of a pullback on the daily scale. But as you are not necessarily making the best, I would say the strongest cup and handle, I think you needed a bigger handle here. That's the problem. You needed a little bit bigger handle for an overall cup and handle. Right now, you're getting that breakout moment. That could still be positivity. You're not necessarily getting overbought or anything, but you have to see that there's divergence at these levels. You have a bunch of 2 hour divergences getting you very close to the center line. So this is still a very positive thing. I don't want to talk too negative about it because it's still positive, but I just want you to be aware if you're in some kind of upside play for now, how this 2 hour looks. And I really want to show it to you. Look how this point up here is really high, and every point below that has come in lower. All right. So if I look up on maybe even a bigger time frame, like a 4 hour, you're going to see that is straight down. So that tells me if there is weakness, I need to pay attention, but this can see some positivity for some time, or it can get rid of those signals. But for now, look at that RSI just pointing straight down. Look at this MACD pointing straight down while the price action's up, and you have daily divergence up here. So I'd really, if it were me, because the 30 minutes not going to be your friend here. You've seen too many curl ups, right? We've seen too many curl ups. The 30 minutes not going to be your friend. You need to see a bigger time frame confirm the signal. So what I would be looking for is that 2 hour to roll over one more time. And this is great if you haven't tried to short it here, right? Short it here, short it here, short it here, short it here. If you're just now seeing it, this is the perfect time to pay attention, because if that positivity fades and curls down, you're very likely to switch around that trend and go negative. I like this one. Thank you for showing me the Knights of Nyeh. Eki poop con roof oin mrsh. Yeah, we can look at gold again. I like this one, even though it's dramatic upside, so you got to pay attention to it first of all. But I just want to be aware if that curls down. This is an argument for upside though. If this is going, the thing is, you just didn't pull back. You're just seeing squeeze signal. So I really think this will turn back down eventually, but we'll see. What's another really goofy movie I like? Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead's great. Give a chance to look at gold. Yeah, let's go take a peek over at gold again real quick, and I might need to take a quick break here and go get my water. I'm trying to go live just a little bit longer today. We're gonna do gold assessment here in a second because I need to go grab a water real quick. I'll be right back, 2 minutes. All right, we're back. We are back in action. All right. So looking at gold here, still seeing that curled up. So what I really need to see is still this 30-minute confirm down. Hasn't happened. So look for that breakout moment, right? We need to look for maybe a breakout. Maybe this 2 hour is going to lead to a 4 hour curling up, right? So if that 4 hour curls up, positivity is the most likely option for gold. But if that 30-minute curls down, you have a shot with a bunch of 2 hour divergences that's going to fall. The daily scale is more leaning towards the daily still pulling back a little bit further, in my opinion. But you're just bottling up. So pay attention if that 4 hour makes some kind of move. DJT. Yeah, DJT down in our buy zone finally. It took a while to get there and curling up on a daily MACD. So there you go. DJT actually showing, hey, I could see some positivity. Yeah, that's a buy zone for sure. But you see the divergence, that's the main thing. Now, did that divergence hold? It actually did hold a little bit there on the MACD. Very good. I think that's a pretty good setup there. Now, I did check in with the wife. I was going to try to stay a little bit longer, but we do have to head out. I have a little lunch thing to get to. Baby girl might have a little play date, so that's pretty fun. But I'm going to hop off for now. I will be back on for the end of the day today. I promise you I will be back on, okay? Make sure to like so plenty of people can see this. But for the most part, I know yesterday I ran into some stuff. Today, I specifically put aside some time so that we could watch this price action by the end of the day. We have to be watching what's going on throughout the day and what price action looks like at the end of the day. So I will be hopping off for now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed today's stream. Hopefully you guys were able to learn something. If you want to learn a little bit more, there are those links down in the description. You can still get both courses for just $150, about a $2,000 value down there, and you can get to learn and really get good at swing trading and maybe using technical indicators, you know, like the MACD, RSI. That using technical indicators course to teach you about divergences and all that is great too. You can really become a great trader if you just take those two courses. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. Some great questions out there from Z Shoddy and Cassie and others out there. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for showing me a couple of stocks that have some good setups. I might have to take one of them. We'll see. I'll see what I come up with by the end of the day. But thank you guys for joining. Can't wait to see you guys later on today. And then make sure you're paying attention to tonight's YouTube video. And I'll be watching that debate. You know I'll be watching that debate. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And I hope your families are all doing well. Peace out.